that's why I usually keep my mouth shut, because I go out and say we good shooting team, and we go 1 for 156 in the second half. But we are a good shooting team, and we'll make some of those shots. Some guys took bad shots, you know. But for the most part, I thought we took halfway decent shots, and we got guys that have proven to me over the last 2 months that they can make them. So first time out in front of people, we had a couple of those young guys were nervous and just energy drained out of their bodies, and it was hard for them to get their legs underneath them. But not bad, not bad, not bad.
Franco, 35 threes tonight. Was that just exhibition? Those guys kind of freelancing out there? Or are you comfortable with them taking that many threes in a game?
I can't sit here and tell you we're a good shooting team and then tell them they can't shoot. You know, we got to find a happy balance there somewhere. Obviously, I didn't play Chris a lot. Some of those other guys aren't ready to be interior scorers yet. So when some of those other guys are in there, you're naturally going to get more jump shots from your guards. But we'll find a happy balance there somewhere. But that's why I got multiple guys that can shoot. So as a coach, I have to make sure that that they're taking good shots. As long as the shots are good, you know, time and score, not time and score. Time and score is important, but like time on the clock, when to take them, when not to take them. Those are the things we got to talk about. But I didn't think we took bad shots. We just didn't make any.
Frank, what did you see out of some of the newcomers tonight? Do you feel like they're maybe ahead of schedule from where you thought they'd be defensively and offensively this season?
Yeah, Felipe and Justin have established themselves as two guys that pick up our defensive philosophies, and they've been pretty consistent with that. Wes and Book are trying to play differently than they've ever been asked to play before in college, and that's easier to do with a 15-year-old. It's a little harder with an 18-year-old. It's a lot harder with a 22-year-old. They've gotten used to playing in college a certain way, and they've been around for a while. And the older we get, the more stubborn we are. So, and then some of those other young guys, they continue to try and figure it out. You know, David had been real good, and then he hasn't been very good for 3 straight days. So, he understands too. His practices last week were great. This week they started off okay, and they've kind of tailed off as the week went on, or leading into this week, I should say. So, but I'm okay with it. We're making a lot of mistakes right now. Majority of them are on the ball defense, but we'll be all right.
Frank, I think your starters scored your first 31 points tonight. What did you like from that group that made you put out that 5, and what did you like about how they started the game today?
Yeah, I knew I was going to start Hassani, Mike, and Chris. I had no idea who else to start, and we just trying to throw different guys out there. Probably start a completely different group on Sunday when we play again. You know, we have one of those don't tell anybody ones on Saturday, so we'll probably start a completely different lineup there. A couple times today, I kind of looked on the court. I'm like, why are you playing those guys together? You know what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason to it right now. We're still trying to figure all that out.
Frank Booker just told me Justin Minaya is probably the best rebounding guard he's actually ever played with. How much of that part of his game are you impressed with, other than his just ability to score and stuff?
Book better be happy he never play with Sindarius, huh? Jesus. Justin's consistent with that. Justin's a good basketball player. Justin's got I like his demeanor. I like his mindset. I like his temperament. He's aggressive. He accepts coaching. You know, I'm not, recruiting's a hard deal, hard thing to do. Recruiting's not easy. Recruiting's real hard. And when I went and saw him in the spring, I didn't need to see him a second time. I immediately called Chuck and I said, Chuck, let the dad know I'm in. And because I knew, because of the dad, I knew the values that he would have as an individual. And Chuck had recruited him at Indiana, so Chuck vouched for him as a human being. But once I saw him play, I was like, hey, that's no brainer. Let's go. And Justin's going to be, he's not there yet, but because of the things I said, he's got a chance to make himself into a real good player.
What do you think of the physicality of your interior defense? You know, first time you get up against opposition, you wonder if it gets chippy, that kind of thing. What do you think of how you guys played on the interior defensively?
I'm just glad Chris didn't foul. I'm just happy he didn't foul. I'm real comfortable with three guys right now, and that's Chris, Mike, and Felipe. Very comfortable with all three. I'm trying to get to a good place with KG. KG was great, and then him and David, for whatever reason, as last week evolved, they tailed off, and then their performance today went that way. KG's got to get back to what he did leading into last week. And if he does, then I'd feel comfortable with him too. And, you know, Cud's going to be a real good player for us. Cud, you know, he's not there yet. It just happens. But he's going to be a real good player. I like our big guys. I think our big guys will be fine.
Coach Martin, what did you see from Gay and Doumbia that you liked a lot?
From who, I'm sorry?
Gay and Doumbia.
Oh, yeah. You know, Ibrahim, I think you saw a block and that offensive rebound putback he had. He makes the wow play, but doesn't know how to make the normal play. And that's his steps as a player. He's trying to make, you know, he was a shot blocking, rebounding high school center as a sophomore. He's learned how to develop, he's developed his skills over the last 2 years. Now he's trying to learn how to play on the perimeter. He's trying to learn how to defend there, trying to learn how to play offense there. And then, you know, KG's had a great summer, great preseason. He's had a bad 3 or 4 days. And that can't happen. That, you know, I'm about going forward, not backwards. You know, he's got to bounce back and be a lot better this coming week, starting on Wednesday.
What did you think of Corey Holden tonight? And is there still some rust there as he comes back from kind of going or getting back to full go?
Yeah, he didn't play well. He was nervous. Didn't play well. Didn't play along the lines of how we practice and the structures. And, you know, he was nervous. It's been a long time for him. And he was trying to be aggressive, but he was trying to be aggressive after the fact. And that leads you to failure. You got to be aggressive before the play actually takes place. That's what allows you to have success. And he'll be okay. He'll be all right.
Coach, Frank was talking about that he's never played for a team that emphasizes defense as much as you guys do, and I know he's only been here for a short period of time. Between Frank and maybe some of the other freshmen and some of the guys that are playing more, where is this defensive mentality at right now in comparison to where you'd like to see it?
It's pretty good for a while there today, given so many new faces. But then I got mad at I shouldn't say mad. I don't overreact to exhibition games. But I told the returning guys that I was displeased that our defensive effort in the second half was bad, and it started with them. Hassani, Chris, and Mike, for the most part, KG, they did not defend in the second half the way that they defended in the first half. Now the young guys see that, and then they think like, okay, it's okay to play the score. It's let's just kind of go back to do whatever we did last year. You know, when I say young, I'm talking about young to our program. We don't play that way here, and that's where, if you were to ask me one thing that I was bothered with today was our returning players playing the scoreboard rather than playing the game, because they know that nothing aggravates me more than that. That perturbs me to the nth degree. And but that's part of their leadership responsibilities. And as they grow into that, they've got to do a better job with that.
Coach, you mentioned how a lot of your younger players tonight were nervous heading into the game. What have you as a coach told your players in terms of handling all the pressure coming off a team with a historic season last year?
Yeah, we don't talk about last year. Last year's team's got nothing to do with this year's team, just like the team that won 14 games my first year, they had nothing to do with the team that won 25 the year before. We don't talk about it. It's irrelevant, to be honest with you, other than the lessons the guy that were in that locker room should have learned to help them understand what the journey is made out of, how to act, how to work on their games, how to handle a locker room. Outside of that, all that stuff's really irrelevant. And the pressure that we deal with right now is the one that we put on each other to make sure that we each do our jobs the best we can every single day. That's the only pressure that matters. If I start coaching these guys and comparing them to the successes and failures of last year's team, they won't play. And then I'm not doing my job. I can't blame, because if I do that, then I can't blame them when they take winning for granted. And this year's team's completely different.
Frank, how'd you think Asani played?
Well in the first half, bad in the second half. Just he played the score, and that's basically what I told him in the locker room after the game. Sani's had a great summer, real good preseason. He's been real good in practice. I think you can see his aggressiveness in the first half, offensively and defensively, and the game starts and ends with your point guard. And if your point guard is lax, then everyone behind them is going to be lax when he's on defense, and everyone in front of him is going to be lax when you're on offense. And, I wasn't happy with our ball movement and set offense today. I thought we had some good sequences where we passed and whatever. We missed shots. Sometimes you make shots and it makes your offense look better. I played a lot of guys, and we had some guys that weren't sharp moving off the ball. I think some of the decisions we made in set offense could have been better as far as passes that were there to be made that we didn't make, or passes where we tried to force to certain areas. And then again, I don't know if you guys pay attention to me, I just kind of sat there. I didn't say too much because they need to learn. And they need to figure it out. They need to learn how to speak to one another. They know how we practice, and they do it right in practice. Now Wednesday we'll show the film, and we'll address some of those things. But players have to take ownership. They have to take ownership, and that's on them. That's on them. And if they're not willing to do it, then I got to make them do it, and then it gets uncomfortable. And we've been down that road 4 years ago. We don't need to go back down that road. They get it. They'll be okay.